The one dream gun collectors and 40K players have in common, besides their hobby being cheaper, is being able to have a real-life bolter. Well, we might be closer to that than ever before. If you haven't heard, Barrett, the creators of the Barrett 50 cal rifle, in partnership with Mars, have created a new rifle everyone is calling a real-life bolter. So, today, we're going to look at the brief history of weapons that led us to this, discuss how it compares to bolters in 40K, and see just how far away we are from an actual bolter. Now, in terms of what bolter we'll be comparing these weapons to, will be the lock pattern or Godwin Duas pattern bolters, as those are the types that are capable of being wielded by humans. And before you say anything, yes, I recognize that all of these launchers have stocks, which is very anti-bolter. The first question is, why is this being made, other than, turning people into small pieces? Well, for the last 30 years, the US Army has been trying to change how they employ grenade launchers in warfare, and the SSRS might be the answer. You see, the Army decided they didn't want to simply lob grenades onto enemy positions, but rather send it to them direct. The first real attempt at this was with the Barrett XM109 AMPR, which had prototypes in the 90s totaling 10 in 2004, which shot a 25mm by 59mm grenade with an effective range of 2 kilometers. The problem is, this is just a Barrett M107 that's 10 inches shorter and shoots grenades. Not exactly the portable squad support weapon you'd want to lug around with you all day. The military felt the same way, but didn't hate it either. Still, we need a smaller grenade launcher that feels like a bolter, not an anti-material rifle. The next contender for this role was the XM25 or the Punisher, which looks pretty cool until you put it in UCP. This launcher looks more like what you would expect an Astartes to use. It fires 25mm by 40mm grenades out of a 5-round box magazine. Prototypes were made in '05 and saw use from 2010 to 2013. This isn't a typical grenade launcher, as instead of firing a grenade that hits a target and blows up, this has airburst. So, you shoot it, the grenade flies until it reaches a specific distance before blowing up in air, raining fragments on your enemies, meaning their cover is useless as you just shoot above it and let the fragments do the rest instead of having to accurately hit your target. And the XM25 did just that until it blew up in a soldier's hands and the army promptly pulled it out. Throwing rangers not liking how bulky it was, and a bolter, this is not. It's not until 10 years later that we have a new round of weapons trying to fill that role, with notable entries being Rheinmetall's, Plum Precision's, FN, and Barrett's, with grenades ranging from 17.5mm to 30mm, all weighing under 14.5 pounds and an overall length less than 34 inches, with effective ranges to 500 meters, making these bulky but reasonable to carry PGSs for soldiers, all supporting a wide variety of ammunition types. Now we're getting into bolter territory, especially with the Barrett SSRS, and minus the muzzle brake, the FN to an extent. However, instead of talking about all these rifles, let's focus on the obvious choice based on aesthetics. Let's start with the comparisons. Well, it looks blocky, simple, and I can absolutely see this rocking a purity seal. It can carry an optic, it can use multiple types of ammunition, including explosive, armor-piercing, buckshot, airburst, and more. Lastly, it does do the first part of the 2-stage firing sequence bolters use, that being firing the grenade like a bullet initially. The problem is, that's where the comparisons end. In reality, there's a lot of shortcomings when comparing this to a bolter. For one, the ammunition capacity. The SSRS only carries 5 rounds, a far cry from the bare minimum 25 in Astartes bolters and only a third of human bolters. That's in part because of the size of the grenade. At 30mm, it's almost double what a typical bolter shell is. Bolter shells, being round about 75 caliber, puts them at 19.05mm or slightly larger than a 12-gauge shotgun shell. Though bolter shells can vary in size, and 72 cal wouldn't be out of the question, which is nice because that's exactly the size of a 12-gauge shell. Next, the grenades are just too slow. A grenade launcher from an M203 flies at a slow 84 meters per second, which for comparison, some pellets shot from an airsoft gun fly faster. Even the 40mm by 53mm grenades launched by the Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher only top out at 241 meters per second, meaning at 1500 meters it would take 6 seconds before it would hit the target. The SSRS grenades are supposed to hit a target of 500 meters in under 3 seconds, making their speed roughly 170 to 180 meters per second. Now, if this were a real bolter, then that would be okay, as the second stage of a bolt shell is the rocket igniting, allowing the bolt to accelerate, which we have a weapon like that to compare with, the gyrojet. The gyrojet would shoot its projectiles out as a literal rocket with a terminal velocity of 380 meters per second, which sounds impressive, but only puts it at the speed of a shotgun slug, which lore-wise could explain why Eldar can dodge bolt rounds, as ballistically they are on the slower end. But back on point, the SSRS's rounds would be going less than half this speed. Lastly, is the purpose. Bolters are meant to defeat armor and explode the target inside. The explosion was meant to be centralized on the target. The SSRS is mainly going to employ airburst rounds as a means to defeat enemies in cover, defilades, and counter drone threats. Sure, it has other options thanks to the varied ammo, but this is going to be its overall shtick. What about the other weapons I glossed over? Are they any closer? Not really. Rheinmetall's just looks like someone took a Star Wars blaster from Lego and made it man-size. Not to mention, it shoots 40mm grenades, which means velocity and ammo capacity are garbage. FN looks more promising as it's blocky. Oh, wait, that's it. Again, 30mm ammo, which means the same problems we've already addressed. Plum Precision's is actually closer to bolt-sized ammunition than the others, though its design just looks like an AR shotgun. If that's the case, we might as well get an AA-12 with drum mag full of frag rounds and just call it good there. And now that I'm saying it, that actually doesn't sound like a terrible idea. So, how close are we to real-life bolters? Honestly, Counterpoint's 40K is closer to a real-life bolter than Barrett is. Sure, it's a shotgun, so its range and ammo capacity is severely limited, but the size, speed, and variety of the shells are all on point. Plus, his looks like a proper bolter. The day that man is able to create a reliable double-stack magazine for 12-gauge shells to solve capacity and makes a tungsten-tipped slug filled with explosives and has a rocket on its ass to solve range and lethality is the day the Great Crusade can finally begin. Hello everyone, Editor Navigator here, and while I was writing the script for this video, I forgot that there is in fact a double-stack 12-gauge magazine. It's meant for Mossberg 590s. It surprisingly works okay. Here it is with a 15-round magazine.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Looks ridiculous on a shotgun, but for a bolter, I think that would fit. So hey, we're one step closer to a bolter than we thought we were. That's something. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this 3-part series. It's been a blast for me to really nerd out about the bolter in general. Like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you next time out in the warp.